Hello everybody, welcome to this video. This video we'll be doing part 3 of the Natural History cowl. Natural History has been designed by Christina from A Spoonful of Yarn and is the Scheepjes Crochet Along 2020. In part 3 we have the octagon from part 2 that will be extending up to a circle. So you'll have a circle when you finish part 3, and we'll be adding these lovely little leaves and also this detailed motif during part 3. The yarn I'm using a stonewashed kit, so I've got Scheepjes stonewashed yarn that I'll be using during this video, but you could also have a color crafter kit. So I'll take you step by step through all the rows. There are quite a few rows and a lot of detail. I hope to show you everything as good as I can. Let's get started. Round 39, I have color 1 on my hook with a slip knot, and you're going to start in any corner that's above the B. So here's the B, and then you go to the corner that's above that, so that's important. So any B corner, let me put it that way. And we're going to start by counting stitches. So here's the point, and then we're going to start in the 7th stitch after the chain 2 space. So here's the chain 2 space, and we're going to count 7 stitches. And then you really need to just pull them open to be able to count them. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And number 7 should fall here in the second or the first. The first one is here, the puff stitch in the corner, and then it's the next puff stitch. That's the stitch that we're starting in. And insert your hook in there. We're going to start with a standing double crochet. There we go. And the next, now we're also going to start the repeat. And the next 2 stitches also work a double crochet. That's 1, 2. So that means you now have 3 doubles in total. A half treble in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. And now trebles in the next 21 stitches. That'll bring you almost, well, to the other side. Well, not completely, but a long way. So 21 trebles. So that's 2. It's been a while since we've worked trebles. We've had quite a few rows with mostly double crochets. 21 trebles. 21 trebles. Next 3 stitches work a half treble. So now we're going to come down again to 3 half trebles and then 3 double crochets. So it's 1, 2, 3. Now, as a reference, you should have, I believe, 5 stitches left before you get to the next, or 6. Let me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, you should have 5 stitches left before you get to the next corner space. Now do a chain 10. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this chain 10 is to jump behind the corner. So I'm going to come, so skipping the next stitches, the corner stitch. Now we're going to count stitches again. So the 7th stitch is the one we want again. So I'm going to skip 6 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number 7 should again be the stitch that's in the puff stitch here. Then in there work a double crochet. And then you make sure that you pop the chain space to the back. And then this stitch here, this stitch is exactly the same as the stitch we started with, that standing stitch. So these stitches, repeat this all the way around, and your chain 10s, make sure that you pop them to the back. And then when you come around on your last repeat, you'll have worked your 3 doubles, then you work the chain 10, and then you close with that chain 10 with a slip stitch here on your first stitch, and they can also fasten off. Round 40, I have color 1 on my hook, so it's the same color, but we fastened off because we're going to start in a different point. Where we're going to start with the standing double crochet is if you have, this is the corner above the B, or any B for that matter. Going to start in the first stitch before, so here are the stitches from round 39, so this is a stitch on round 38, just the first one before that, and we're going to cover the chain 10 space here, so over both of them. Start with a standing double crochet, and you really want to pull this stitch as tight as you possibly can. This double crochet, make it as tight as you can. And we're going to be doing that for all of our double crochets that we're working on round 38. So that's the ones that we're going to be working here along this edge. We will be working them as tight as we can. So now we're going to start the repeat unit, and now you can work normally again. A double crochet in the first 3 stitches. So we're going to come up and work in the first 3. And these, like I say, here your tension can be normal again. So it's just that first one that you pull tight. 3 double crochets, and a half treble in the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, a half treble in the next 3, and then a treble in the next 10 stitches. So 1, 2, you work 10 trebles, 3, 4, 10, there we go, 10 trebles. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to skip 2 stitches, then come to the 3rd stitch and work a treble. So 1, 2 skip, and in the 3rd stitch work a treble, and that's then the first of 9 trebles. That's 1, 2, going to work 9, 3, 9, that's 9 trebles. The next 3 stitches work a half treble. So 1, 2, 3, and on the last 3 stitches here work a double crochet. That's 1, 2, 3. Now going to come down to round 38, so on that stitch there we're going to work a double crochet and cover the chain 10 here to the back. We're going to work over them at the same time, and it's important that we work that stitch as tight as we can. So I'm going to insert in there and over the chain 10, and grab your yarn and work this stitch nice and tight. There you go. Chain 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now come to the other side, and here on the first stitch before the stitches from round 39, going to work a double crochet in there again and over the chain 10 to the back. So insert in that stitch over the chain 10 and again work this stitch tight. And this stitch is the same as the stitch we started with. So the repeat unit, I'm going to repeat all of this all the way around, and you're going to finish with a chain 8. So after your chain 8, close here on your first stitch with a slip stitch. Then you can again fasten off. Round 41, I have color 5 on my hook. We're again going to start in the corner that's above a B. So this is in the corner, and below here I've got my B. This round we're not going to work over the chains, so now you just leave your chains here to the back. This round we're just going to work normal. We start with a standing double crochet here in the first stitch of round 38. Or the next unworked stitch. The standing double crochet. Now we're going to start our repeat again. We're going to come up here to the stitches of round 40. And where is that first double crochet? Is that one? In that first double crochet work a double. That's the first of 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 doubles. On the next 3 stitches a half treble. So 1, 2, 3 half trebles. Now 8 trebles. So that's 1, 2, 3. You can see how you're actually starting to fill out these octagons. 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last one here, 8. So 8 trebles. Let me just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Yes, 8 trebles. So these rounds you really do need to keep on counting. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. You have 2 stitches left. Going to skip those 2. You come here to the chain space. We work 3 double crochets in there. 1, 2, 3. 3 double crochets in the chain space. You can just nicely center them. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now again skipping 2 stitches. So 1, 2 skip. Then we work a treble, 7 trebles. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 trebles. On the next 3 stitches a half treble. 1, 2, 3, and then on the next 4 stitches a double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now at the stitches of round 38 again. So double crochet in here in the next stitch on round 38, and this time leave your chains here to the back, so you're not going to work over them. So only round 38. Chain 6. 4, 5, 6. Then again skipping the corner, come to the last stitch here, to the stitch before. There we go. So before all of these stitches from round 40 on round 38, and work a double crochet and pop your chain 6 to the back. This stitch is exactly the same as the stitch we started with. So your entire repeat, go all the way around, and after your last chain 6, close on your first stitch and again fasten off. Round 42, I have color 2 on my hook. We're again going to start in a corner that's above a B. This time we're going to work over all the chains that are here to the back, and when we work into the stitches from round 38. And when you do so, yeah, try to make those stitches tight to get these, yeah, to not make it too bulky. That's kind of why we're doing this. We're going to start with a standing double crochet in the first stitch of round 38. So that's this stitch before everything here. And over all the chains from rounds 39, 40, 41. So there's quite a few chains. We're going to make a double crochet. And like I said, try to make this as tight as you can. And that does require some effort. Now we're going to start the repeat again. I'm going to come up and work a double crochet in the first 5 stitches. And this, there we go, that first one is a little tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. Then 3 half trebles. It's 1, 2, 3 half trebles, followed by 6 trebles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 trebles. You have 2 stitches left. I'm going to do chain 3, then skipping those 2 stitches, come to the chain space and work 2 trebles in the space. 1, 2. There's 2 trebles in the space. You have these 3 stitches here in the middle. We're going to work in those. First one, work a treble. In the second stitch, work a 6 treble bobble. So that's yarn over. So that 6 trebles work together, but all in the one stitch. So 1, 2, 3 legs. You're going to need quite a few of them. We're going to have to squish them in here. 4, 5, and the leg number 6, and now it's really a tight squeeze. 6. There you go. All of the loops, going to take them off in one go. And chain 1. Then a treble in the next stitch next to it. Here's a treble. And 2 trebles in the chain space. 1 and 2. You'll notice your bobble, it's popped the wrong way, so just pop it forward, just like you did with the puff stitches. Now we can continue on the next edge. Chain 3, 2, 3, skipping 2 stitches, and then a treble in the next 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Half treble in the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Followed by a double crochet, and I believe the next 5. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's rotate everything again. Now we're going to work a double crochet here in this stitch on round 38, and we're going to work over all those chains to the back. So again, make this stitch as tight as you can. That was the double crochet. Chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then come to the other side, and I think you've guessed it already. I'm going to do the same here on the stitch that's before the stitches from round 41, and again work over all those chain stitches and nice and tight. And then this stitch is the start of your new repeat, because that's the same as that stitch over there. So this stretch with the bobble, repeat that all the way around. Get after your last chain 5, you're going to do a chain 5 and then close here on the first stitch, and you can also fasten off. Round 43, I have color 4 on my hook, and I'm again at the corner above a B. Now there aren't many stitches left here, so it's just getting more and more squished in there, but luckily this time around we do not work over the chain spaces to the back, you can just leave them. We're again going to start in the first stitch. Well, actually there's only 2 stitches available, but the stitch that's closest to the stitches from the previous round here on round 38, so you've got 2 stitches left. In the one that's closest, start with a standing double crochet. Like I said, now you can just leave those stitches to the back here. Now to start the repeat, we're going to come up and work a double crochet on the first 6 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on the first 6 double crochets. Half treble on the next 3. So 1, 2, 3 half trebles, and a treble on the next 6. So 1, 2, 3. So I just really need to move everything continuously. 3, 4, and 4, and then this is 5, and 6. There we go. 6 trebles. You're now at the chain space. We're going to work 2 trebles in the chain space. It's 1, again, and 2. 2 trebles in the chain space. Chain 3, 2, 3. We're going to skip the 2 trebles, and then work it. So these 2 that's in, we're going to skip those 2, and then come to the treble that's next to the bobble. So in that treble here, work a double crochet. There. Just do that again. There we go. Double crochet. Now if you look at the, here's the bobble. That's the stitch we're going to work in the bobble. We're going to work a double crochet in there. But this is the chain one, so we're going to skip that. So here in the bobble, work a double crochet. Then that's the chain one, so you're going to skip that and then come to the treble that's after it and work a double crochet in there. chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skipping these 2 stitches that are in the, let me just move the blanket, skipping these 2 trebles, come to the chain space and work 2 trebles in there. 1, 2. I'm going to come down and work 5 trebles, starting in the first stitch here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trebles. It won't surprise you. Now it's 3 half trebles. 1, 2, 3 half trebles, and then of course we come down and complete with 6 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6 here is a pretty tight stitch. Yeah, that's number 6. 6 double crochets. We're now going to work a double crochet on around 38 here, and like I said, you're just going to have to pull this up a bit. You can see there are 2 stitches. I take the first of those 2, and you can leave all those loops at the back. You can leave all of those. So, a double crochet in there, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then come to the other side on around 38. Got the 2 double crochets. You take that second one that's closest to all your stitches here and work a double crochet in that. And again, pop that chain space to the back. You've got quite a few chain spaces there at the back. And this stitch is the same as the stitch we started with, that very first standing double crochet. So everything that's going on here, do that 7 more times, and after your last chain 4, close on your first stitch with a slip stitch. Round 44, I have color 4 on my hook again, and we're going to work in the last few stitches from round 38. You have 1 here before the chain space, and you have 2 after the chain space. I'm going to be using that second one after the chain space. You can leave the chains to the back. We're going to leave those unworked, or uncovered I should say. So insert in that second stitch the standing double crochet on round 38. We're now going to come up and work 7 double crochets. Here's the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets, half trebles, 3 of them again. 1, 2, 3 half trebles, and now of course the trebles, and this time we have 8 of them. 1 treble, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here's number 8. 8 trebles. Next up is the chain space. I'm going to work 2 trebles in the chain space. 1 and 2 trebles in the chain space, and then 1 treble in the next stitch. Now you've got 3 doubles here, so in that first stitch work a treble, chain 2, and then we're skipping the next stitch, which is the center double, and then come to the stitch after. We work a treble on that stitch. On the other side, the next chain space, 2 trebles in there, two trebles, and now coming down, I'm going to work trebles on these stitches again, and that'll be 7 trebles. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trebles. Just rotating it a bit again. 3 half trebles. So that's 1, 2, 3 half trebles. Now come down for the last stretch with 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's the last one, 7. 7 double crochets. Now I'm going to come down here onto these last 2 stitches again from row 38. That last stitch there before the chain 2 space, going to insert into that stitch and work a double crochet. Chain 3 and then come to the other side of round 38. So here you've still got 2 stitches, you see 1, 2, and you take that second one and work a double crochet. And then this stitch here is exactly the same as the stitch we started with, which is that stitch there. So repeat this stretch, what we've just worked, repeat that all the way around, and after your last chain 3 you'll close on your first stitch and then fasten off again. Round 45, I have color 4 on my hook again. Yes, it's such as the same color as the previous round. And we're going to start with a standing treble in the same stitch as the join. So I'm going to yarn over, and then in that same stitches where you already have the slip stitch join, in there just kind of cover that slip stitch with a standing treble. There we go. Now work a treble in the next 7 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go. 7 trebles. A half treble in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3 stitches. Then a double crochet in the next 10 stitches. 1, 2, 2, and that'll bring you to the chain space. 3, or almost 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 double crochets. You're now here at the chain spaces. The next stitch, you have 1 stitch left. Going to work 2 double crochets in this 1 stitch. 1, 2. So 2 double crochets in that stitch. Now you're at the chain space. Also 2 double crochets in the chain space. 1, 2. And now we're going to come to the stitches after the chain space. In that first stitch, work 2 double crochets again. 1, 2. So you've got 2 before, 2 in, and 2 after the chain space. Then a double crochet in the next 9 stitches. So again, notice it's not symmetrical, and that's correct. Next 9 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just a few more. 7, 8, 9. 9 double crochets and 3 half trebles, of course. 1, 2, 3 half trebles, and then finishing this part with 8 trebles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here's the last one, number 8. So that's 8 trebles. Now we're at the chain spaces and the corner stitches. We're going to work 3 trebles in the chain 2 space, so of round 38. Now I just need to find that. So the chain 2 space of round 38, that's this one, I just showed you the wrong space. So it's a chain 2 space of round 38. We're going to work in there and then work also over the chain 4 space and the chain 3 space. So you've got, so basically your top 2 series of loops. So you've got quite a few here. So everything that's in color 4 you're going to work over, and the chain 2 space from round 38, going to work over those. And I'm just going to pick up my loop again. So it's 3 trebles. So in that chain 2 space, and cover the chain 4 space and the chain 3 space. Then 3 trebles. So it's 1, 2, and 3. There you go. And now, of course, again a treble in this first double crochet of round 44, and this a treble in the first double, and this treble here is the same as the treble we started with, that one. So work all your stitches all the way around, and now you can really starting to see that you're getting a nice circle. And when you work over these chains, remember to take the chain 3 and the chain 4 space. You can see them here to the back, how I've worked over them together with the chain 2 space here at the front, and then 3 trebles in there. So all of this, repeat all the way around, and then close to your first stitch and fasten off. Round 46, I have color 1 on my hook, and we're going to start with a standing treble in the same stitch as the join. And that's, just find it for a moment, that's this stitch here. So I'm going to start in there with this standing treble. So that's the same stitch as the join, and then work 3 more trebles in the same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. So you've got 4 trebles in that stitch. Now to start the repeat unit, it's going to be an easy round. Chain 1, then skip 3 stitches, so that's 1, 2, 3, skip, and in the next stitch work 4 trebles. And you're going to repeat that all the way round. So chain 1, skip 3 stitches, and then work 4 trebles. Repeat that till you're all the way round. You're going to do it chain 1 and close on your last stitch. Round 47, I have color 5 on my hook. And we're going to start in the chain space before the join. So you see, here's the join, and then in that chain space. We're going to start with a standing treble in that chain space. That's a standing treble, and just keep it worked away the yarn tail yet. There we go. That's 1 treble, and then you now 4 more in the same space. So you're going to have 5 trebles in this space. Just 2, 3, 4, and 5. Because that's 5 trebles. And I'm going to start the repeat unit, and the repeat unit is the rhythm is perhaps a bit not intuitive, so keep track of your rhythm. We're now going to be working in the next chain spaces, next 12 chain spaces, going to be working 4 trebles in each. So, so in this chain space only 4 trebles. 2, 3, 4, so that's 4 trebles, and this you're going to do 12 times. So this was once, and I come to the next space and again work 4 trebles until you've done that 12 times. And 4. So I've now done this twice. I'm going to do it 10 more times, and then I'll see you back again. So I'm going to do a jump in the video. So work 4 trebles in a chain space and do that in total 12 times. I've done twice now. I need to do 10 more. So I've worked the repeat 12 times. So I've now 12 groups of 4 trebles in a chain space. In the next chain space, I'm going to work 5 trebles. In this chain space, work 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, number 5. 5 trebles. And now comes the second half of the repeat. Now we're going to again work 4 trebles, just like here in the next chain space, but now only 11 times. And that's why it's tricky, because you have 12 times, then you do 5 trebles, and now you have 11 times. So in the next space I'm going to work 11 times I'm going to work 4 trebles. And that's why it's important to keep track here, because it's 11, 12, 11, 12. It alternates in that way. got 4 trebles in this group, and I'm going to do this 11 times. So I'm going to make a jump in the video. There was 4, so here work 4, here work 4, here work 4, until you have done that 11 times. I've just done the repeat 11 times, so in the next chain space we work 5 trebles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now you're all the way at the end of your first repeat. So just a tip for me, mark these chains, these 5 treble groups. As you see here, I've marked this one, and I've marked the first one, because everything you've now done we're going to repeat all the way around. But it's important to count, and if you have these groups of 5 marked, it's easy to count them, because how many 4 treble groups have I got since the previous marker. So you're going to work 5 trebles, and then 12 times 4, and then 5 trebles, and then 11 times 4, and then 5 trebles, and then so it's going to be 12, 11, 12, 11. It's going to be alternating like that. And if you have these 5 treble groups marked, it's going to be easier to just quickly go back and count how many have I got since the previous one. And at the end of this row you can remove these markers again. This is just for this row, and it's just to help you keep track and help you count. So what we've just done, repeat all the way around. I'm just going to open up this loop that I don't lose that stitch. And when you're at the beginning, so right here at the start, we're going to close here on the first stitch, and we're going to do that with an invisible join. And I'll just show you again how to do that. Most likely you still know, but just to be sure I'll show you. Just at the end of round 47, I'll just show you the invisible join. Finish the last stitch, so you see there the last 4 trebles. You can cut your yarn and then open up the loop. Thread your yarn on a needle. And now to make the join itself, you see here's the standing stitch. We're going to come to the second stitch. That's a stitch next to it. Insert your needle underneath. And then pull a bit closer. And the loops that we're making, you want to get them on top of the stitch of the standing stitch, so that they fall over the standing stitch. Then come back to the last stitch worked, insert into the top of the stitch, and then down to the bottom. See here, I've got the yarn tails away, through the top of the stitch, and then pull out to the back. Pull these loops closed. You see they're really on top of the stitch, above the stitch, until these loops are the same size. See, there they are as the stitches to the left and to the right. You might just have to help it a little bit to get them equal. There you go. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to work away this yarn tail. If you want to, you can unpick this slip knot. That will also make this stitch look more pretty. So if you unpick that slip knot, it will look like that, and that will also give you a very clean finish here. So unpicking that knot will help you with that. Otherwise, if you work it into the back and just have it pulled this way, you'll also not see it from the front, and then that slip knot's also gone. Then your stitch looks like this. There's your invisible join, and you can work away that last yarn tail as well. And then we're ready for round 48. Round 48, I have color 7 on my hook, and we're going to start in the first stitch that we worked from the last round. So this is the first of those 5 trebles. This is the standing treble, and that's the invisible join. So in that first stitch, start with a standing back post double crochet. So that means it's a double crochet just with a loop on your hook, but from the back So around the post of that stitch, pick up your loop from the back, bring it all the way around, and complete the double crochet. You're now going to work a back post double on every stitch and work all the way around. So this round is in that sense easy because it's a back post double on every stitch, but at the same time time consuming because these back post stitches, they do take time. So now I've done the first 5, and then just bridge that gap and then come to the next stitch and again work a back post double crochet. So that rolls your edge forward. Go all the way around, work a back post double on every stitch. When you get to your first stitch, this very first double, work a slip stitch on that, and then you can also fasten off. Round 49, I have color 8 on my hook, first time we're using this color, and we're going to start in the same stitch as the join with a standing half treble. So in that same stitch there, let me just grab my yarn tail and cover the slip stitch, standing half treble in that stitch. Continue and work a half treble in the next 15 stitches. That's 1, 2, we're going to work 15, 3, 15. It's 15 half trebles plus this very first standing one gives you 16 half trebles. Chain 2, 1, 2, and now we're going to skip the next stitch, so that's going to be this stitch, skip that stitch, then come to the stitch after and work a half treble. And this is then also the start of the repeat unit in which we work 16 half trebles. So 16, 1, 2, continue till you have 16, that'll be a few stitches on again. 16 half trebles, chain 2, 1, 2, skipping the next stitch, work a half treble in the stitch after, and this half treble is again the same as that half treble. So you're going to repeat this all the way around, and after your last set of 16 half trebles, you're going to skip your very last stitch. You'll have 1 stitch left after you've worked 16 half trebles, skip that very last stitch, then close on your first stitch. And then you can either leave your yarn attached to carry it up, or fasten off and then we'll attach a new color. I'm going to be fastening off, I'm going to be following the pattern. So go all the way around, 16 half trebles, chain 2, skip a stitch, and then close on your first stitch. Round 50. I have color 6 on my hook, and we're going to start with a standing double crochet in the 5th stitch after the join. Now you see here's the join from the previous row, so that's that standing half treble. Then we move 5 stitches, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the 5th stitch after the join. Join 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Insert there and start with a standing double crochet. Now we start the repeat unit. Double crochet in the next stitch. It's 1 double. In the next stitch work 2 doubles. So 1, 2. Then 1 double in the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At this point you should have 2 stitches left before the chain space. The 2 stitches left, that should just be a checkpoint for you. I'm going to come to the skipped stitch of round 48, so that's this one stitch there. I'm going to work a treble in that stitch. Yarn over in that stitch and then stay in front of your chain space, so fold those to the back. One treble in that stitch. You just skip a stitch to the back, so you've got 2 stitches before the chain space. You're going to skip the next stitch and then come in the stitch after, and then work a double crochet in there. Now come to the same stitch and work another treble in there. And again, be sure to miss your other stitches and the chain space. So again, a treble in that stitch. Next up here is the chain space. You're going to skip the chain space and then come to the next stitch, and that's going to be this half treble, and work a double crochet in there. Now again, come down and work a treble in the skipped stitch. So yarn over. Now you're going to maybe have to fold your work a bit back, and at this point it's really easy to push your hook through, but be sure to keep your hook in front of your work and complete that treble. Now skipping the next stitch, that's the last stitch worked, skip the next and then work a double in the next 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. And now we're back at the at the start of the repeat unit. So now you're going to start again with that first double. So it's the 1 double and then 2 in the next stitch, and then 6, which will bring you to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which will again bring you to this point in the next chain space, and all these trebles you're making here. If I just unpick the start of the next repeat, there you go. This here is your repeat unit, starting at that second double crochet up to this point. This is your repeats. Going to do this all the way around, quite a few more times, and then you've made here the start of your first leaf. When you're all the way around, close to your first stitch and fasten off. Round 51, I have color 8 on my hook again, and this round is nice and easy. We're going to work a double crochet on every stitch. That's the round. So we're going to start in the stitch where we joined the previous round. So this is the slip stitch. Just going to cover that with a standing double crochet in that stitch, and then work a double on every stitch. So this is nice. This is a nice and relaxing round. The previous one was a bit more intense, and the next one is going to be that too. But for now, work a double crochet on every stitch. And when you're all the way around, close on your first stitch and fasten off. Round 51, I have color 6 on my hook again, and we're going to start in the same stitch as the join. So here's the last stitch from the previous round. That's the slip stitch. I'm just going to try to cover that again with this standing double crochet. Now work a double in the next 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means you now have 9 double crochets. We We're now going to work 2 stitches together, but they're not equal stitches. We're going to work a front post treble and a front post double treble. We're going to work those 2 legs together and around the posts of the leaf. So first yarn over for the treble part, so it's only yarn over once, and come around the first of the 3 legs here. And give this stitch some room. That's the first leg. Now yarn over twice for the double treble and come to this second leg here that you have in the middle. Pick up your loop and again give that loop some space. And 1, 2 times yarn over, 3 loops on your hook, take them all off. I'm going to skip a stitch to the back. See how I'm skipping a stitch there? And then work 2 doubles. 1 and 2. Now I'm going to work a treble around the stitch here in the middle, a front post treble. So yarn over, you can just stack them all on top of each other because I've already got 1 leg in there. So that's a treble. And again skipping a stitch to the back. See, I'm skipping a stitch. And then work 2 doubles again. 1, 2. Now again work a front post double stitch together, but again with 2, not the same legs. So first I'm going to yarn over twice because we want to do a double treble. I'm going to start with that in the middle. And you're going to have to fold your work to really get around that post stitch. And take off 2 loops, take off 2 loops. And yarn over once for the treble, and that one goes around the last leg. And take those 2 loops off, 3 loops on your hook, take them all off. And that was not easy. Skipping a stitch to the back, work a double, and this is the first of 11. So that's 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to go a bit faster. 4, 5, 6. I need more yarn, of course. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mega 11. And then this marks your repeat units. So starting here at this first together stitch up into this double crochet, this is your repeat. Going to repeat this all the way around because now you've got up to your next leaf. You're again going to be working all of these stitches, and it's very full in here. So just stack those 3 front post stitches on top of each other. And we remember to skip a stitch to the back every time. And then 11 doubles. When you go all the way around on your last repeat, you've of course already worked 9 doubles here. So you're going to finish with just 2 doubles and then close on your first stitch. You can also fasten off at that point. Round 53, I have color 8 on my hook again. And we're going to start in the same stitch as the join, the standing double crochet. And then a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. Now we're going to start the repeat unit. In the next stitch work 2 doubles. 1, 2, that's a little increase, and now work 17 double crochets. 2, continue until you have 17. 17 doubles, and that's your repeat unit. So now again in the next stitch you would work 2 doubles followed by 17, one in every stitch. So repeat this all the way around and then on your last repeat, of course, you won't have 17 stitches because you've already worked these 3. So 17 minus those 3, and then you close on your first stitch and then also fasten off for the next round. Round 54. I have color 6 on my hook again. I'm going to start in the same stitch as the join with a standing double crochet, followed by 9 more doubles in the next stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 9 double crochets. Now you can start the repeat unit. You're going to work a front post double treble around the treble part of this double stitch. So that's twice over for the double treble, then around the treble part. So that's the most outside leg. Work a front post double treble. And just skip a stitch to the back, so skipping a stitch, then work a double in the next 3. 2, 3 stitches. Front post treble around the treble, and that's the one here that's in the middle from 2 rows down, so that's your most center stitch. Work a front post treble. Again, skip the next stitch. I'm skipping the next stitch, and then work 3 doubles again. So 1, 2, 3 doubles. I'm now going to work another front post double treble again around the outer one of these 2 stitches, so that double stitch, so that's twice over for the double treble. Then come around the treble, so that's the most outside leg, the one that's really on the outside, and complete the double treble. Skipping a stitch to the back, so skip a stitch, and now work 10 double crochets again. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And this is your full repeat unit, starting at that double treble up until these 10 double crochets. This is your full repeat. So do this all the way around, and on your last repeat you'll of course finish here on the leaf and then close on your first stitch with a slip stitch. So do this all the way round. Round 55, again is a nice and easy round. This round we're going to be working a double crochet in every stitch, as simple as that. Starting in the stitch where you have the join, this stitch here, in that first stitch work a standing double crochet, and then continue with a double crochet on every stitch. So take it nice and easy, so just make yourself a cup of tea, work a double crochet in every stitch. Oh, there you go, a double crochet on every stitch, and when you're all the way around, close on your first stitch and fasten off. Round 56. I have color 6 on my hook again, and this time we're going to start the stitch after the join. So here's the join, that stitch there, So that's where the slip stitch is in, so I'm coming to the next stitch. Insert your yarn and we start with the standing double crochet. And then also a double in the next 9 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. At this point, if you need a check whether or not you started on the correct stitch, your the stitch you're in now is this into the single crochet that's in the front post stitch from the previous round. So that's the line that you have now. I'm going to start the repeat unit, and we're going to do again that double stitch that's not the same length. So we're going to work a front post treble around the first leg here and a double treble around the center one. So we're going to, and then work those together. Yarn over for the treble and come around the first leg and take off 2 loops, and then a double treble, so that's yarn over twice, and then around the center stitch, that's the middle, that's a treble here, and then take off 2, take off 2, and then take them off. Skip the next stitch, so I'm skipping 1 stitch to the back, and then work 3 doubles. So 1, 2, 3 doubles. At this point you're exactly above the center stitch. We're going to work a front post treble around the center stitch. So yarn over and just stack it in front of the one that's already there. Kind of line them up. So front post treble. Again, skip a stitch to the back, and then work 3 doubles again. That's 1, 2, 3 doubles. We're again going to work a 2 together stitch, and again a wonky one, so one that has 2 different legs. I'm going to do a front post double treble around the center and a front post treble around the last one, and then take them together. So twice over. You're going to have to fold your work to really get around that center stitch, and then take off 2 loops, take off 2 loops, and then yarn over once for the treble and come around the last stitch here. Take off 2 loops, 3 loops on your hook, take them all off. Skipping a stitch to the back, skipping a stitch, and then work a double, and this is the first of 10 again. 2, 3, and that should bring you at the same point we were just before the next leaf. And of course, because I'm talking to you and I lost count, that's normal. We all have that when you're in conversation and you're crocheting and then you lost count. So I do believe I've now worked 10, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, I've worked 10, and then that one should again fall into the double that's into the front post stitch. So this is your repeat. Do this all the way round. You can really see your leaf starting to take shape. And you're going to repeat this quite a few more times, and after your last leaf, close on your first stitch and fasten off. Round 57, color 8 on my hook again, so we keep alternating, and we're going to attach in the same stitch as the join. So you see, here's the stitch, I have the join. I'm going to grab my yarn tail and just cover that slip stitch. Start with a standing double crochet. and a double in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. In the next stitch, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And now we're going to start the repeat. The repeat is going to be 18 double crochets and then an increase again. So in the next 18 stitches, I'm going to work a double crochet. 18, so that's 18 double crochets, and now an increase again. So in the next stitch, 2 doubles. 1, 2. And this you repeat all the way around. So 18 doubles and then an increase. If you want to know if you're still on the right track, if you haven't missed an increase anywhere, if you look at the double crochets that are worked into your leaf, number 5, number 9, and number 13 of those 18 doubles, they fall into the 3 trebles, so 5, 9, 13. So that can just be like a checkpoint for you to see if everything's still okay. And then after 18 doubles, you work an increase. Go all the way around. And your last increase, you'll of course already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, you already have these 5 doubles here, so you won't work 18 but only 13. And then close on your first stitch and fasten off. Round 58, I have color 6 on my hook again, and we're going to start in the stitch where we finished the previous row. So in the stitch with the join, and start with a standing double crochet. Now a double crochet in the next 12 stitches, and that will bring you to the leaf. And 12, you now have 13 stitches in total, so starting from the first one, there are 13 doubles. The repeat units. We're going to work a front post double treble around the treble from this double stitch. Now the treble is the outside leg, so we're going to work a double treble around that. So twice over for the double treble, fold your work back and come around the treble part, so that's really the outer part of the leaf, the outside leg. Take off 2, take off 2, take off 2. Skipping a stitch to the back, skip a stitch, and then work 2 doubles. 1, 2. Treble around the front post, treble I should say, around the front post in the middle, and again skipping a stitch to the back, skip a stitch, work 2 doubles. 1, 2. Now the same on this side, again going to work a front post double treble around the treble, so that's again the outer one of the 2 legs. Twice over, around the outer leg, work the front post treble, or double treble I should say. Skipping a stitch to the back, I'm almost at the end of a ball of yarn, skipping a stitch to the back, and then work a double, and you're going to work 13 doubles. That's 2, 3, 13. And now you're at the end of the repeat. So everything we just did, so starting here at the front post stitch, repeat this all the way around. If you want to check if you're still on track, if your stitches haven't moved left or right, the 7th double crochet, so number 7 here, falls in the 2nd stitch of your increases. Like that's just a checkpoint for you. But as such, everything you've just done, do this all the way around and close on your first stitch. Round 59, again a snooze round, as I call it, color 8 on my hook. I'm going to work a double crochet in every stitch. Start in the same stitch as a join with a standing double crochet in the same stitch as the join, and then in all the other stitches work 1 double crochet, go all the way around, then close on your first stitch and fasten off. Round 60, I have color 6 on my hook again, and we're again going to start in the stitch where we finished. So I'm just going to insert there, cover the slip stitch, join the standing double crochet. Double crochet in the next 14 stitches. So in total you're going to have 14 doubles. And the last one. So I've now done 14 doubles plus the first one, that's 15. Now the repeat unit. I'm going to do a double stitch again, the one that's not equal. I'm going to do a front post double treble around the first leg and a treble around the second leg. So twice over, come around the first stitch here, that's the double treble part, 1, 2, and twice over, then only yarn over once, and then come to the second stitch, the one that's in the middle, and take all 3 loops off. Skip a stitch to the back, skip a stitch to the back, and then work only the 1 double crochet. Now we're going to come and stack another treble on top here in the middle, so a treble on the center stitch. There you go. Skipping a stitch to the back, again work 1 double crochet. And now again a double stitch, a front post treble around the center and a double treble around the outer post. So yarn over once, and again I fold your work. You're really going to have to do a bit of effort to get around the center one. That's first loop, and yarn over twice and come to the last leg. Take off 2, take off 2, 3 loops on your hook, take them all off. Skipping a stitch to the back, so skipping a stitch to the back, and then a double crochet, and this is the first of 15, and then you're ready, then you're at the end of the repeat, you can start everything all over again. 15. And that's the end of the repeat. So now you're starting the next repeat on this leaf. So all of this, repeat all the way around, and after your last leaf, close on your first stitch. Round 61, color 8 on my hook, and we're going to join again in the stitch where you have the closing. Start with a standing double crochet in the same stitch as the join. Then we work a double crochet in the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the next stitch work 2 double crochets. 1, 2. The repeat unit. A double crochet in the next 19 stitches, and then you work 2 doubles again. Now 19 double crochets. And 19, that's 19 double crochets. And in the next stitch you work 2 doubles and 2. So 2 doubles in the next stitch, and that's it. That's your repeat unit. So work here's the next double. So you work 19 doubles and then 2 in the next stitch, and then 19 again and 2. Go all the way around, close on the first stitch and fasten off. Round 62, I have color 6 on my hook, and this is the last round for color 6. Going to join in the same stitch as the join, again with a standing double crochet. Just in that same stitch, standing double crochet. Now a double in the next 18 stitches, and that will bring you close to your first leaf, and then we work the last stitches to really finalize our leaf. So 18 doubles and 18. So 18 doubles, then you've got 19 in total. Going to work a front post treble 3 together, and we're going to work it over the 2 outer posts and the center post from 2 rows down. So yarn over for the, of course, treble part, and come around the first one that's here, this on the outside. Pick up the loop, take that off, then the center stitch, again yarn over the center stitch, then yarn over and the outside one on the other side. Take 4 loops on your hook, take them all off in one go. Skip a stitch to the back. Sorry, I'm skipping 2 stitches, so skip that stitch. So 1 stitch to the back, and work a double. And then this is the first of 20 double crochets, and that'll bring you to your next leaf. 20. Double crochet number 20 brings you exactly above your next leaf and is the start of your next repeat unit. So these last stitches and the doubles, do that all the way around. Close on your first stitch, and then you can also fasten off because you've now completed your leaf. Round 63, a new color, color 5 on my hook, and we're going to start in the same stitch as the join with a standing half treble. So in that same stitch, standing half treble, and now a half treble in the next 40 stitches. Now that's quite a stretch. So work 40 half trebles. I'm just going to work 40 of them, and then I'll make a jump in the video. So work 40 half trebles, and then I'll just see you when I've done 40 of them. So I've now worked 40 half trebles, plus the standing one is 41 half trebles. It's 41 half trebles, and then in the next stitch work 2 half trebles. That's 1 and 2, and that's your complete repeat. So it's 41 half trebles and then 2 in the next stitch. So now you're going to work 41 half trebles again, and then 2 half trebles in the stitch after that. Go all the way around, and when you're at the first stitch, so here you'll be finishing with 2 half trebles in this stitch, and then close to the first stitch with an invisible join or a needle join, depending on how you call it. And I've already shown you before how to do that, but also I'm assuming that you'll be fine. So after your last 2 half trebles, close with an invisible join to your first stitch. Round 64, I have color 1 on my hook, and this round we're going to be making a back post half treble on every stitch. The stitch I have marked here is the stitch where I joined, so the invisible join. So this is I did this so that I could find it again after I've worked away all my yarn tails, so that's why I marked that stitch. So around that stitch, again, so the same stitches where you did the invisible join, that stitch, work a back post. Now I can just remove that stitch marker. The back post half treble, back post half treble, and then work a half treble back post, of course, on every stitch all the way around. This round is it's a time consuming round because of all the back post stitches, and you've already got 516 stitches if all went well. That is quite a large amount. So work a back post half treble on every stitch, and when you get all the way around, you join to the first stitch, that's this stitch here, and then actually mark that stitch of the join. So I'm really going to do that. So mark your first stitch, then when you come all the way around here, join to that stitch and leave the marker. The reason is that when we in part 4, it's important to find this join, so that's why we're marking it. So for now, work a back post half treble all the way around, join to your first stitch. When you've worked away your last yarn tails, you're finished with part 3. You have these lovely leaves, this circular band around your work. Your work may curl a bit, so this edge will stand up a bit. Don't worry about that, that will flatten out later on. That brings us to the end of part 3. I hope to see you back for part 4.